Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Nancy Mace just humiliates this woke reporter when he tries to ambush her outside the Capitol with these ridiculous questions. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. Even though Trump won the election, you need to protect your wealth backed by gold and other precious metals, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
The radical left is calling me an extremist for being a feminist, fighting to protect the rights of women and girls. If being a feminist makes me an extremist or a bigot or a monster, I am totally here for it because I'm going to fight like hell for every woman and every little girl across this country to protect you and keep you safe.
Here she goes. Here's Congresswoman Mace. Congresswoman Mace, can I ask you a question as you walk here? So the question is, with your piece of legislation about banning women from using...
100% yes.
My question to you is...
And it doesn't go far enough. I'll be filing more bills.
You have said that it was created in response to Congresswoman-elect McBride.
100%.
But should legislation be created targeted at one specific person?
It doesn't mention anyone in the legislation, but
you've said it was aimed at her.
No, I have said it's a result of this. I'm not going to allow biological men into women's private spaces. I will stand in the brink and stand in the way of anyone on the radical left who thinks that it's okay for a penis to be in a women's locker room or a bathroom or a changing room. Hell no. I'm not going to stand for it. And the Speaker said it would be in the House rules package. If it's not, I'll be ready with a motion, a privileged motion to force a vote on this. This is not okay. I'm a survivor of rape. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. And I'm not going to allow any man in any female private spaces.
Now, Speaker.
End of story. And by the way, I'm getting death threats from men pretending to be women. Why is it that these crazy people, the insanity, the radical left, are willing to kill women over a man's right to be in a women's restroom?
Speaker Johnson has said he wants to treat every new member with the words dignity and respect. Forcing this congressperson to go into a male restroom, is that dignity and respect?
Forcing women to share private spaces with men is not dignity and not respect. And I'm absolutely going to stand in the way of anyone who thinks it's okay for a man to be in our locker room, in our changing rooms, in our dressing rooms, in women's bathrooms. And in fact, if you agree with that, you're crazy, because that's not okay. It's not okay.
Atta girl, Nancy. Atta girl. She is 100% right. The whole idea of having women's spaces is the idea that, hey, let's see, men typically are stronger. We usually have more muscle mass. Our reflexes are faster. That's just evolution. We were the hunters. They were the gatherers. That's pretty much how things worked back then. That's how we evolved to this point. And then, let's see, we're bigger, stronger, faster, better eyesight. Our reflexes are faster. That's why women have their own sporting events. Even Serena Williams herself, one of the best female athletes of all time. If you were to make a Mount Rushmore of female athletes, she would probably be in the George Washington position. Okay? I know that there's an LPGA golfer, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, decades ago that just dominated her sport, and she would probably be up there too. But if you were to put those two folks up against top male counterparts, they'd get slaughtered. As a matter of fact, there was even an attempt by I think a 15-year-old high school soccer team playing one of the top women's programs, and they just wiped the floor with them. The young men wiped the floor with these professional women. And so this isn't an attempt to say, well, women's sports is terrible. No, that's not the point. The point is there are actual biological differences between men and women. And then there's the whole idea of what chivalry is supposed to be. And chivalry was basically killed by feminism. It deserves to be brought back, but they kind of have to meet us halfway there, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Hey y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. as a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. So this is a great example to bring up, saying, okay, what is the actual line when it comes to society? Well, it's rather simple. Men should not be in women's bathrooms. All right, if you have a Y chromosome, you don't go into a woman's bathroom. That is an okay thing to talk about. And so what everyone's clutching their pearls over is that there is now a transgender member coming into Congress. And Nancy Mace, who has been a survivor of sexual assault, she's got quite the story on that, by the way. And so, of course, she's going to get a little bit incensed that a man is sharing a bathroom with her. And because someone has finally crossed that line and threatened to cross that line, she is now introducing legislation for rules in Congress that no, men go to the men's bathroom, women go to the women's bathroom. That sounds okay by me. If you want to change your entire appearance, if you want to castrate yourself, if you want to get hormones, if you want to dress up into something that you clearly are not, but you have a sound state of mind that says, yes, this is who I would rather be, I prefer playing this character, I'm okay with that, then so am I. If you are okay in your skin or in your costume, I can live with that. As much, it's like furries. I do not want to associate with them, but they can go off and have their own spaces. I am definitely not getting mixed up in that group. I'm definitely not going to support that group, but I'm not going to do a thing to hurt them. I'm not going to do a thing to make sure that their lives are miserable. I am not going to ban them. However, when you bring that furry stuff into my spaces, all of a sudden you are crossing a certain barrier. You are crossing a point that says, no, you can't come in here. Right? It is okay to have your gated communities. And as much as I harp on liberals in their ivory towers, it is okay to have your spaces. It is not okay for someone to invade that. We deserve to protect. It's the same idea as basic property rights. You have the right to protect your property. The same idea plays out here. And so Nancy Mace is doing the right thing, and this reporter is trying to catch her in a catch-22. And it's not going to end well for him, and the tide is turning, but just be careful that it doesn't turn too much. Remember, the line is people deserve their spaces, just as you do. You deserve to be protected in your own home. That's why you deserve to own a firearm. It's why you deserve the right to self-defense. But also, these people do deserve their own spaces. Just make sure that you aren't crossing boundaries. It should be that simple, but to a lefty, it's just not, for some insane reason. But I want to end on one final thing. If you notice, at the very beginning of this video, you had Nancy Mace walking out confidently with a camera held at about eye level, matching her speed, walking backwards. And you can tell it's a person walking because the camera does bounce up and down a little bit. But it's in lockstep with what she's doing. This is a fantastic way to show yourself to the world. This is exactly what a lot of Republicans and conservative influencers need to understand. That pretty much everything about that initial video, and there's a longer version out there, everything about that video is just fantastic. It's on point, and the only problem with it is the lighting, because it's directly overhead. There's no light up your face kind of action, but that doesn't really matter. What you get is someone who's making a fantastic point, walking confidently, and speaking confidently. All right, you have all those three things working for you, plus good camera work, good body language, and that's one of the corridors, I think, that runs between the Capitol building and one of the legislative buildings. So this is a fantastic model that if you want to get in on this game, you really need to take a look at what Nancy Mace is doing here. Because not only is she telling the truth, she's looking pretty darn good while doing it. And it's okay to admit that too. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.